Sim.
Cujo título é The Madman. Him not, or is not?
Not only the beggar thinks he's a king, is a madman, but also the king who thinks he's the king.
Okay.
This is a quote by Jacques Lacan, and I wanted to talk about this quote today.
Okay.
But first let me start with what is my relation to Zizek, because there's another communication today, I think it's called Zizek and I. And I like this expression because all we can do here is say Zizek and I. What have I got to do with Zizek? And my particular take on Zizek is not philosophy, or it is media. Since I'm a media producer and I work in television, almost 25 years, and I know for many of you it is the enemy, because television is this mind-boggling machine that we are trying to defy, or because what was done here right before was what Zizek always calls an interference of the real, when he broke the bottles. This is actually what we sometimes need, but we don't get it through the media, of course, because we have always the screen before us, even if the screen is not present. And that was so. When you look at me now, it is, of course, as if there was a screen, because I'm only talking and showing images, and I'm not breaking bottles or something like that, And so the problem is really how can this affect us at all? And I don't know if you have in mind this. I didn't bring the picture, but maybe you have seen the film, the Cronenberg movie. It's called Videodrome, and there is a gun, pointing out of the TV, and it's like showing, well, it has an effect on us, but it's not immediate, because there is this weird membrane, and this gun is coming out and trying to rip it apart, but it's not happening. Anyways, I think that the media, of course, it has a severe impact on us, but it's different, of course, than this art that is comes to us as an interference, or as the classical psychoanalysis would have had it, the trauma, the trauma that that is happening on the level of the real, and we cannot express it, but we try to, and we make an effort to express this. And this is where the other quote comes in, which was Freud's quote, I has to, das Ich, wo das Es war, soll Ich werden. Ne? And then we have the two levels. We have the two levels, the It and the I, but we don't yet have the superego. And this is where I come in now, because the media for me is this kind of superego machine. And the problem is with psychotherapy, when you have a trauma, when you're experiencing trauma, and of course Freud says you have to express it, you have to give it language, you have to put it forward in some way. But what if there is a superego that does not allow you? What if there is a taboo to that? And that's where the problem lies, because every one of us experiences trauma, but many times it's not allowed, or I don't know, to express it, you know, and that's where the superego kicks in. And this is what the media, of course, does. The media shows us what is acceptable, socially acceptable, and so on. And so, for me, this is a kind of a superego machine. Television and all the other mass media, what we call mass media. Of course, the media now is in a big crisis because this is changing also. And with the emergence of social media, there will be other forms. I mean, there will be this dominance of mass media, of course, will diminish. But okay, this is only to have a short introduction. Zizek, of course, is interesting for a media producer because he, for one thing, he is always present on media, you know, and he has done these at least 2 brilliant films. The Pervert's Guide, one is the Pervert's Guide to cinema, and the other was the Pervert's Guide to ideology. And for me, of course, I'm always looking for clues, for visual clues on ideology. What is ideology and how is it represented? So, and what, then there was this quote coming up, and I was thinking, well, let's do some contemplation on this quote. So we have this quote by Jacques Lacan, and there is this obvious paradox here. Not only the beggar who thinks he's a king is a madman, but also the king who thinks he's a king. That is to say, we have the one half of the quote that is the beggar who thinks he's a king. It is what you all know, these jokes, these old-fashioned jokes about the guy who thinks he's Napoleon and so on, so he has to go to the mental institution. And so this is what we say, well, the guy is crazy, he thinks he's a king. So we have a kind of paranoia. He would probably be diagnosed with paranoia because paranoia is defined as an exaggerated self-importance, typically elaborated into an organized system. You know, I'm not only a king, but I also have my, you know, I have my troops and I have everything. So. And the other part of the quote is the king, which is of course the paradox, because we would think common sense. Why would a king who thinks he's a king be a madman? I mean, he has all the right to think he's a king, of course. So there we have the paranoia and we have the paradox. The statement that apparently contradicts itself and yet might be true. So the first thing I tried to do was to look at kings. You know, what does a king look like? And so the first king, I mean the king that we all consider a king, is Louis XIV. Is the famous saying "L'État c'est moi." So there's a king who looks like a king, and he is a king because he has the power, absolute power. He was able to make laws, and he had to direct the troops. He fought various wars, and so he has all the right to say he's a king. And then because I work in media and television, sometimes we work also on the royal families, you know, the boulevard. And so what does a king look like today? Today's kings, as we see here, the Norwegian king, and we see the Belgian king, and you know, his son, of course, yeah. So obviously, there's a difference between these kings and the Louis XIV king. When there was, so we have we have still monarchies in various countries in Europe. But it is obvious that the monarchies are formal monarchies, and there is not the content, you know. So we have the form and the content, which is obviously diverging, and so if these people really, we could say, if these people really would think they are kings, then they could be said they are madmen, you know, because they are, and so the form, and we see they all have these shiny uniforms, and it is of course very important that when you have a uniform, it shows you always when there's a strict maintenance of form, then something in the realm of the content is going on. You have a change, and that's what Zizek many times he refers to Hegel when Hegel talks about the negation of the negation. You know, we have the vanishing mediator. The vanishing mediator is when you maintain a form, but the content is changing. And this is something you can, I mean, I give you now an example from nature. We know that the snakes, they build the new skin, and then when it's ready, when they have this phase, which we could call also a latent phase, if you want, because it's a latency process that is happening. And then once the new skin is all ready, then the old skin can fall off. You know? And today, now we jump again to the political realm, where you have in China, you have still a communist, officially communist country. You know? So, but what is going on actually? You know, how can they say we are a communist country? You know, because we all know that there is this wild capitalism gone wild going on there. You know, so but still, it is important for them to maintain this form and to change the content. And then Hegel said, so this is the first negation. And then Hegel said, well, the second negation is then when the old form falls off. You know, when there is a new force coming in, and the old form can fall off. And so if we stick to this metaphor, whatever, because it says then you have to replace their skin. The snakes have to replace their skin to allow for growth and to remove parasites along with the old skin. So we have to, and we actually it's not only snakes who do that, but all human beings and all animals, but not in this form, but in a different form. We are constantly renewing our skin, and why? So we have to ask ourselves, why is the monarchy not falling off? Because it is, I mean, by now it is so ridiculous that the media, we look at them and all we can talk about is what does the dress look like, you know, has she worn the right dress or not, and so we can only criticize form here. There's nothing substantial to be criticized in the monarchy. So, but there must be a reason. There must be a reason why these monarchies are not falling off, and why the communist system in China is not falling off. And so I wanted to further investigate to where could this reason be. And I found this picture. This picture is showing ambulance vehicles from the Second World War, I think. And they have they have these